Hey guys, welcome back to Doc Little Talks Comics, and today we're talking about episode 7 of X-Men 97 Season 2. And in this episode we get to see Nightcrawler show his humanity, show how much he loves not only his brothers, they're mutants, but also his literal brother, Graydon Creed. Creed hates mutants, and he's about to run on a presidential platform that says that much. He says that Genosha and what happened at Genosha was a consequence of mutant kind not respecting humankind and mankind. And he gets kidnapped by Colossus and Magneto's acolytes and Exodus, and they go to the Savage Land. And while they're in the Savage Land, Beast, Rogue, Bishop, Polaris, and Nightcrawler have their Warbird ship shot down, and they come to find out that they don't have their powers because, don't forget, Mr. Sinister at one point was running the Savage Land. And in order to keep his superiority, then he created an inhibitor that would inhibit mutant kind's natural abilities. So Bishop can't release his energy, and it's building up inside of him. Polaris can't use her energy. Rogue can't fly. So they're pretty much crippled, they're pretty much human. But they refuse to give up. They refuse to stop fighting. And they go to Exodus. And they say, you're gonna possibly massacre this man and kill this man without even as much as a fair trial. And so Nightcrawler argues to be able to give Graydon Creed that fair trial right there in the Savage Land. And he says, I'm sure that I can convince you that underneath he is a good person. He is fundamentally broken, but he is a good person. And he said, can you say the same, Exodus? Can you create a story, or can you create doubt in these mutants' minds? That he's not as good as he would seem. So they have a trial, and Exodus gives his story first and says, he has no love for mutant kind. He's running on a platform to destroy all mutants. And that's pretty much his argument. He uses it to incite. He uses it to build up anger and frustration over the situation. And then Colossus, who's presiding over the trial, says to Nightcrawler, he says, it's your turn, Kurt. And Kurt appeals to Graydon Creed's humanity. He says, you're not upset and hate mutants because you hate mutants. You're upset because your father, Sabretooth, was so mean and so vile and so vicious to you that you just waited for the day that you would turn 13 so that you would manifest your power set. And since you did not manifest your power set, you weren't able to become better than Sabretooth. And that is where your anger and your frustration come from. It was a good argument. It was such a good argument that Exodus decides to try to kill Creed anyway. He said, you can see his demeanor change, and you can see that he's been beaten. He doesn't want to admit that, but as an outsider watching this trial, you can see that, and see that he says, I'm going to go ahead and take him out for the betterment of humanity, not just mutant kind. guys, this was a really, really great episode. The strength of the original cartoon, and then the strength of the first season and the first half of this second season just continues to build. And you know, they've said realistically, Brad Windenbaum has said that he would love to do it for 10 seasons. And like I said, I'm okay with 10 seasons as long as the animation stays strong, the strength of the story stays strong. And you know, the only problem with that is I don't know that they could continue that at that high level for that long. And especially since it took maybe 2 years almost to get this second season out. At that point, if you're taking 2 years between seasons, then it would take 20 years to complete this show. I don't know that I want to be watching this at 65. I don't mind watching reruns, but I don't know that I want to have to be keeping up with these storylines, you know, each and every week, even though it's only 8 to 10 episodes per season instead of 20 episodes per season like it, you know, was back in the day originally on TV. So I would rather them push these seasons out just a little bit quicker, maybe, you know, once every year, not every 2 years. And like I said, push it also to 10 to 12 episodes per season. 12 episodes is kind of a sweet spot. We've all been, well, they have tried to turn people mine and my wife's age into people that watch 10 episodes and we're like, oh man, that was great. That was just perfect. Okay, but when you grew up in a time like myself and my wife did, those shows had 22 to 25 episodes per season. They would take the summer off, or they might take part of the spring off, and then they would return. You know, you only had, for most of those shows, like A-Team, Quantum Leap, things like that, you only had about 3 months out of the year that you didn't have new episodes. So I don't understand, unless it's a monetary constraint, why you wouldn't do at least 12 to 16 episodes per season. That would give you a whole nother 4 episode arc that you could, you know, you could go from 8 to 12, and then if you went to 16, you'd have a whole nother 4 episodes to build something up. And then you could really leave off on a cliffhanger. So let me know what you guys think about this episode, what you think about the show. Should there be more episodes per season, and should we get them sooner? Or do you like the 8 episode structure that it seems to be, and you would rather have more seasons and fewer episodes? Or would you rather play the short game and have more episodes and fewer seasons? Let me know what you guys think, and like I said, let me know what you guys think about this episode. If you've watched it, I loved it, and unfortunately I believe this is the penultimate episode for this season, so I'm kind of sad and happy at the same time. But thanks for joining me, guys. This was X-Men 97 Season 2 and Episode 7. So I hope you guys enjoyed this, and I will catch you guys and ladies in the next episode. Thanks.